What's up, Cancer, and welcome to your June 2020 Creativity Tarot reading. My name is Kayleigh Jean, and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I record these readings for artists, entrepreneurs, and anyone who is working on their personal growth, self-expression, or spirituality in any way. So if those areas of life are intriguing for you, I encourage you to go ahead and keep listening. I also wanted to let you know that you can use this reading for your sun, moon, or your rising sign, and it's also possible if sometimes they don't resonate, especially at the beginning of the month. So just as an experiment, I encourage you to come back to this reading at the end of June and really to give it another listen and see what connects with your actual experience. A lot of times the messages that I get from people really relate that they feel like the reading makes even more sense at the end of the month. So let's get into your messages. So while I was tuning in for you, Cancer, this is going to be a big month for you guys, and I'll get into that with the astrology, but I was seeing the number 6 really strongly for you. So I don't know if there's some kind of a relationship that you have with that number, or if that number is going to be important for some of you this month, or maybe even in July as well. But I was definitely seeing the number 6, and I was also seeing like someone kind of holding a staff. And it kind of almost reminded me of like a shepherd's crook or something like that, but it was like pure gold. Like it just had this really powerful gold kind of aura around it. And I just felt this energy of like the journey. Like there's something about the shepherd's crook or the shepherd's hook, I don't know, whatever they're called, but it felt to me like you are, it's like a tool of the journeyman. Do you know what I mean? If someone's going on a long hike with miles and miles, they will have like a walking staff. That's what's coming through for you, Cancer, is get ready because you're going on such a powerful journey. And I feel like it's almost important for you to remember that life is a journey and that you are reaching destinations, you know, all the time in your life, but that's always just one step. It's really just one step in a larger journey. So you're very much a journeyman at this time. And I feel like I was also kind of seeing, like I saw really quickly, someone with headphones, like little earbuds in, and they're walking on like a street, like a city street. And they're just hearing the most beautiful music and like watching their surroundings, watching the people around them, very aware of their surroundings, but at the same time just feeling so deeply at peace with themselves. And so, I don't know, like there's this sense of you like moving through life, moving through your reality and being very aware of the journey that you're on, and at the same time feeling really peaceful within your own beingness. And I also was getting this feeling like this message as well that was coming through, I think it was kind of connected to the shepherd's crook thing, the walking staff. It's like trust in your ability to make choices, Cancer. Trust in your ability to suss out the destinations or like the directions that are going to be right for you to move towards. Trust in your ability to do that this month, because I think that you're going to be making some major life decisions, and these could be really bringing in such incredible change into your life. But it's like, be bold. Be bold with that because you can trust it. Be bold with your choices because you can trust your ability to make those for yourself. And then enjoy the journey that follows. So let's go ahead and take a look at your cards, and we'll get some more specifics about the upcoming energies. Cancer. Cancer. Okay. And we've got the 10 of Cups at the bottom of the deck. We'll come back to that. Cancer. Cancer. And we're going to get your Bob Ross message. Okay, so let's take a look. So we've got otter and crossed by the raccoon. This is so funny because it's just great how the animal deck, the Animal Spirit Oracle, always, I feel, really speaks to the meditation messages that I get. So having the otter as your path card really reveals a path of joy for you. And that's a really great thing to know because we do have some intense astrology. We've had intense astrology since last year, but we're moving into eclipse season now, and there's going to be an intensification of the atmospheric energies that we're all dealing with, okay? But for you, it's opening up even more of a path of joy in your life. You can feel your vibration is rising, and it's rising in a sustainable way. Like, that's kind of the feeling I get with the otter, is like you're alert to the beauty of life. You're alert to like the big things and the little things that you do genuinely enjoy and that genuinely bring you that little kind of sparkling glimpse of like, just the beauty of life. So definitely that feels like a really important message, because we do have on June 21st the solar eclipse in your sign. It happens within a couple of hours. If you're like in the Americas, it happens within a couple of hours of, the day of the solstice, which is June 20th. So basically we have essentially like an eclipse on the solstice in my mind, which is rare. We don't get those very often. And so one of the things that I really get with this is like, it's the beginning of your sign. It's the ingress of both the sun and the moon into your sign. And then that's also the solstice. And so it's just marking this major new beginning for you. And it's in your first house symbolically. So it's really like the spotlight of change is on you and your approach to life. And so I love seeing the otter showing us your path card, because it's like showing you that the direction you're going has that little glimmer. It has that sparkle of joy ahead of you. And so you have something to look forward to. Now, the challenge here is the raccoon, which is the challenge of the raccoon is hiding. The challenge when this card comes up is like an obstacle or a blockage. It's about you hiding your light somehow from the world. So as you're going through these changes and discovering all of this more joy within you, it's almost like your tendency or your inclination is going to be to like pull into your little Cancerian shell, right? You're going to be like the little raccoon, like hiding over here. And you might feel for some reason like you want to back away from some of these new energies that are coming into your life. But I don't think that impulse is necessarily like, I don't think it's what you should listen to without any input from the other sides of you. Let me put it that way, because I think whenever we have fear, that fear can teach us something. So it's not about saying like, oh, this is bad, this is a bad impulse, it's, not right for me. But it's more about like being curious, I guess, about your desire to hide or your desire to blend in. Sometimes hiding isn't necessarily pulling back, but it's like blending into the environment. So you dress similarly to the other people that you might see around you, or you, do things to like your appearance or the way you present yourself to kind of blend in and like homogenize, because you don't want to attract attention to yourself. But that might actually be exactly what you need to do. You might need to attract attention to yourself because you are emitting this joyful frequency, and that's a place when you're in that frequency, good things come to you and you put out good things. So you don't want to be hiding that, Cancer. This isn't the time to pull back and blend in. This is the time to share. That's what I'm getting. So let's take a look at your tarot cards and we'll get some more insight. the Empress. We got the World. Wow. Two of Pentacles and Two of Wands. Interesting. Got Queen of Pentacles underneath the Empress. Wow. Page of Pentacles, the High Priestess, and the Eight of Swords. Interesting. I'm sorry if you guys can hear my dog. She's snoring. She really wanted to come in here today and be with me while I was doing readings. So what I'm getting with that first week of June, we have the Empress with the World. So these cards share a numerological link in the major arcana. The Empress is card 3. The World is card 21. 2 and 1 is 3. So the World card kind of circles back or breaks down, however you want to look at it, to the Empress. But it's like an expansion of the Empress archetype. So there's a lot of earthy energy around you in the first week of June. You could be feeling like just really drawn to nature and really healed by being in nature, and also really kind of getting intuitive messages through symbols that come from nature, for example, through animal symbolism or bird symbolism, or even like you could get intuitive information almost like from a tree or from kind of connecting with a plant, or maybe if you have a balcony, you might be getting some potted plants and putting them on your balcony and just feeling like when you go and sit with them, there's just that really beautiful kind of Empress energy that you're connecting with in such a simple and authentic and just grounded way. So there's something really about like connecting with nature, I think, in the first week of June. There's a sense that there's a lot to gain from that. But specifically, if you are a creative person or an entrepreneur, I also see the first week of June being a really potentially ripe time for opportunities. With the Empress, we get a sense of abundance, right? And having more than enough. And the World card is also, I like to think of it as like the internet card or the outreach card. So possibly some abundance coming to you through work that you do online or through just the connections and the resources that you have access to, and through really just asking. And I don't just mean literally asking other people for things. That can also definitely be part of it, but it's like asking the universe for what you want, and then it's like ask and you shall receive. That's the message here, is ask and you shall receive in that first week of June. And I also want to point out that the penumbral lunar eclipse that we're having on June 5th is actually in Sagittarius, which is symbolically your 6th house. So the 6th house is associated with kind of areas of the physical body where we might have a tension or a dis-ease. And so when I see something like cards like this, when we have an eclipse in that symbolic part of your chart, it could be talking about a deep healing potentially taking place and the release of tension that you've been holding in your physical tissues. Or with eclipses, sometimes eclipses really represent endings and new beginnings. And they're little windows of time when energy that has been really fixed has a chance to kind of mingle and explode and transform. So this is potentially a really good time for health and wellness, especially if you are actively doing things to improve that area of your life. So possibly changing your diet with the Empress as well, thinking about your nutrition, that you're getting all the nutrients and minerals that you need. You could be working on digestion, or possibly just improving, assimilation of nutrients is really like something that comes to mind with that. But you can make a lot of improvements there. So it'll be really interesting to see how that plays out. The second week of June, we have the Two of Pentacles and the Two of Wands. So there's definitely some choices to be made with the twos. I think that the second week of June is probably going to feel like you just have a lot of decisions to make, a lot of choices to consider. And the message that I get with this for you, Cancer, is kind of dance with all your options. Like, I want you to really try things out as much as possible. So let me use the metaphor of if you're buying a new car or you're buying a car, you want to make sure that you try it out in a lot of different terrains, or try and test drive a lot of different vehicles before you make your choice. Because the Two of Pentacles is kind of a card of like being light on your feet, and the Two of Wands is a card of strategy and thinking things through so that you can get yourself to a position that's going to be an improvement on where you are now. It's like looking at the tools that you have access to and thinking up a brilliant way for you to use them to your benefit, almost like the Magician card. So what we have here then is this sense of like, try a lot of different things, be light on your feet with the Two of Pentacles, and at the same time use the information that you get while you are kind of being lighthearted or light on your feet, trying a lot of things, being flexible. Use that to gather a lot of intel, basically. And then once you have that information, you can tie it all together into a strategy that really works. But I want you to really think about it. I don't want you to rush into any choices in the second week of June, because it's going to come to you by the third week. So the second week of June is all about experimentation. If you're a business owner, Cancer, the second week of June is the month where you maybe poll your audience, do a poll and see, or your customers, poll your customers and ask them, what are the things that you would like to see from us? Or if you've never done something like that, or if you've never done something on social media before, try out some different campaigns, try out some different marketing strategies, try different things, experiment, because there aren't going to be any negative consequences from it as long as you're doing it in a way that is like, because it's the twos, it's like small ways, so you're not risking a lot by just trying something different. And I think that you can gain so much information from doing that will really help you to bring in a lot of abundance later on. So by the third week, we definitely see that kind of movement towards more abundance somehow. My readings typically focus on creativity and entrepreneurship. So when I see the Page of Pentacles and the Queen of Pentacles coming up in a reading, it definitely for me shows that there's financial improvements specifically coming in, regardless of whatever your like baseline is right now, Cancer. Many people are struggling right now. Many people are dealing with massive changes to their livelihoods, and other people have experienced unexpected windfalls. There's certain businesses and industries that have actually improved, and there's a lot of industries that have gone through a major struggle and a major challenge. No matter where you find yourself along that scale as an individual, or if you have a company, or if you work for a company, this energy that we're seeing for you in the third week of June, this is right before we get to your season, we see positive influx of abundance and financial energy coming in. Now, the Page of Pentacles does give me this sense that you are probably doing something different in order to kind of assert or ensure, like to ensure that this financial well-being comes to you. You might be starting a new job, or you might be putting out something that you haven't done before, right? Like, because you're trying something different. Remember, you had this experimentation phase before that. So it's like you're finding what was valuable to you, or what worked in your experimentation from the prior weeks of the month. And then by the third week, you're sort of starting to implement whatever you got from that. And we see a lot of benefit potentially coming in. Now, with the Queen of Pentacles, we could also see a woman, potentially, because you have a lot of like strong, helpful women in this reading. You've got the Empress, you've got the High Priestess, you've got the World card, you've got Queen of Pentacles. So there could definitely be a lot of beneficial energy coming from a specific woman in your life, Cancer. Or this could be referring to you simply being in a position of strength, economically speaking, or in terms of your solution-oriented thinking, right? Because, and I think it was Tony Robbins that said, it doesn't matter what resources you have, it only matters how resourceful you are. I think he said, I might be butchering the quote, but I love that quote because it really is true. You could be the person with the least access to a lot of resources, but if you relentlessly ask your life, if you relentlessly ask the universe to show me how I can get access to what I need, show me how I can get what I need, the universe is going to come through for you, or you are going to come through for yourself, however you want to look at it. But this is really about, I want to say, feeling really resourceful in the third week and feeling like your hard work is starting to pay off. So that's really beautiful. It could also be working from home as well. Many people are, but I look at the Queen of Pentacles and I do think of her as somebody who works from home. The last week of June, we have a really interesting message with the High Priestess and the Eight of Swords. Honestly, when I turned this over, I felt my first intuitive hit with this was something that feels like the discipline. It's like the discipline to look within. That's really what I hear with this, is the discipline to look within. It's not easy. It's not easy to look at a need that you have in your life, or to look at something that you want to create or manage or grow, and look at okay, I have the answers already. That's not something that often we go to first. We usually, when we're struggling with something or when we're trying to solve a problem, we usually can kind of feel frustrated. And if we give into that frustration, the message that we end up getting is that we don't have the answers that we need. And maybe somebody else does, but we don't. Or maybe somebody else has a solution that they are talking about that works, but it doesn't apply to your situation. So it just feels really frustrating. And I think that there's something indicated here with this pair of cards that's saying, have the discipline to look within yourself for the answers. With the Eight of Swords, the reason I want to say that is because she's tied up and she's blindfolded, and then it's with the High Priestess. So it's almost more of a jarring image of going within. It's like going within when you don't want to, going within when you would rather blame someone else, or blame life, or say, I don't have the answer that I need. This is really the discipline of saying, I always have the answer that I need. I always have it. And if you don't believe that yet, just repeat that mantra to yourself. I always have the answers for myself. I always have the answers for myself. Or whatever works for you that kind of fits with that theme. I also could see this really relating to something like journeying as well, with the blindfolded person and then the High Priestess. So in some of your cases, it could be that at the end of the month, especially after that really powerful solar eclipse happening in your sign, as you go into your season, your birthday season, if you're a Cancer sun, it's you're going into yourself, you're going into your inner world. And that can be a really fruitful experience, with the pomegranates behind her. It's recognizing that you already have the keys to your own life. It's not locked. The door is not locked to you to go within and access, limitless information and potential within you. That door is open. You just have to be disciplined enough to go inside and find it. And that might mean setting a timer and meditating, or it could mean, staying in, your being next to your altar at a certain time of day, every day throughout that whole week, doing something along those lines. It's okay, this is a discipline. This is, it's fun and I enjoy it, but it is a discipline because it's getting me in touch with my deeper, most core truth and strength. And sometimes we really have to be committed. Like we have to be committed to finding that in ourselves. So you could be facing some unknowns as you go into your birthday season. But again, I think you're going in like very blessed and supported. And I think you're going in with like value that you know and that is like self-evident to you. So nothing's really at stake that is of true worth for you, Cancer, because everything that's of real worth to you, you already possess internally. So hopefully that makes sense. I know that's kind of like a very ephemeral message, but that's really like when you get the Eight of Swords with the High Priestess, like it's just going to be that way. So let's take a look at your Bob Ross card. It says, talent is pursued interest. Anything you're willing to practice, you can do. Freaking so spot on. I feel like he just really clarified that for us. Like he really just brought that in to deeper focus. So basically, you don't have to think of yourself as, you know, an incredibly talented person or a super savvy business person. You don't have to feel special and gifted. You don't have to feel like, oh, if your writing isn't pouring out of you, you know, like freaking J.K. Rowling just on the page, just perfectly flawless and edited, which that happens for no one. But if you're a creative person, it's like these cards are saying you have to pursue that interest, be committed to the journey that you're on. Commit to the journey that you're on, Cancer. And I do feel like it's going to bring you so much joy with your path card being the Otter and everything else that we've seen up to this point about just kind of letting go and being lighthearted and experimenting this month. You're going to have a really powerful ability to do that. I just think it's going to be one of those things where with this eclipse season that we're going into, the energies are going to be so intense that you might sometimes kind of forget about the being lighthearted piece. If you can basically find that magical place where you are lighthearted and committed, like you're committed to your journey and trusting your ability to make choices for yourself on your journey, and you're also having fun, that's the magic piece. That is the whole crux of everything that we're talking about right now. So, and you have that because you've got this eclipse at 0 Cancer on the solstice. As we all step into this Cancerian energy, you've got the joy and you've got the dedication to that joy, to that path of joy. So there's nothing that you can't accomplish right now. I know that sounds cheesy, but I really mean it. So beautiful. Woo, getting called out. Okay, so I got you a surrender card. It says surrender stubbornness. If you're tensing or taking a rigid stance about something, gently observe yourself and become more yielding. This will help you communicate more lovingly with others and yourself. Wow. I think that's also another way to look at this Eight of Swords as well. Maybe it's not necessarily only about the discipline of going within for the answers, but it's also about recognizing that if you are being stubborn in your approach, like saying, oh, I would never be able to do that, or like hiding with the raccoon, it's like stubbornly trying to hide from, you know, your gifts or from a particular path that you know you want to walk, but you're telling yourself, you know, stubbornly that it's not right for you or something along those lines. These cards could be saying, like, go within yourself, and when you enter into that, like, resonance of stillness, this resistance and this stubbornness and this fear melts away. So that's going to be important for you to just pursue what gives you joy, and at the same time try and find that like ease and that lightheartedness throughout the whole journey, because it's always going to renew itself. Like the path that you're on is an eternal path, Cancer. So I hope that this reading has helped you in some way. I hope it's giving you something useful and joyful to think about as you go into the month of June and also into your birthday season. I'm sending you tons of love and light. If you enjoyed this reading, please give it a thumbs up and leave me a comment below with a little purple heart just to let me know you're still watching, or you can say, I'm a Cancer and I'm still here. And you can let me know your birthday too. I would love to hear those of you Cancer suns what your birthday is. And I know it's probably a lot of you are going to have it in July as well, but just so I can wish you all a happy birthday, and I hope that you have an amazing month. Take care of yourselves. Thank you so much for being here, Cancer. Sending you a big hug, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.